In this video, we'll uncover the most valuable Abraham Lincoln steel penny and wheat penny you should be on the lookout for. We'll break down what makes these Lincoln wheat pennies so special, how much they're worth in today's market, and what you need to know to sell them successfully at auction. First up, in this video, we will take a closer look at one of the most famous coins in all of American history, the 1943 Lincoln Steel Wheat Penny with the S Mint mark, struck at the San Francisco Mint. This coin is not only collectible because of its age and history, but also because of the unusual material it was made from. For one single year, the United States Mint produced pennies made of steel coated with zinc instead of the usual copper. That makes the 1943 steel cent a fascinating piece. And the example we are focusing on today is in very fine condition, though it does have some scratches. Even with the scratches, this coin has a unique story to tell and still holds a certain amount of value in today's market. To understand the 1943 steel penny, we need to go back to the middle of World War II. During the war, copper was a critical material needed for making ammunition, shell casings, and other military equipment. The government decided to conserve copper for the war effort. So, in 1943, the Mint made a dramatic change. Instead of using copper for the 1-cent coin, they switched to zinc-coated steel. This gave the penny a shiny, silvery appearance that looked almost like a dime when it was new. People at the time immediately noticed the change, and the 1943 steel cent became one of the most talked about coins in circulation. The coin's design remained the same as other wheat pennies. On the obverse, we see the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, facing right, with "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1943 to the right. Just below the date is the small letter S, indicating that this coin was minted in San Francisco. On the reverse, the two wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum at the top. The design itself was unchanged, but the new steel composition made the coin look very different. The San Francisco Mint struck a little over 191 million steel cents in 1943. That is a large number. But it was actually fewer than the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced, which means the 1943S is somewhat scarcer than the others, though still not rare. Because so many were saved by collectors and the public, steel cents are widely available today. The real challenge is finding them in high grades without damage. The coin we are talking about today is in very fine condition. For a steel cent, that means the details of Lincoln's hair, ear, and jawline are still visible, though they show moderate wear. The lettering is sharp, and the wheat stalks on the reverse still have some separation in their lines. However, the coin also has scratches, which lowers its appeal. Scratches on a steel cent are especially noticeable because of the silvery surface. They take away from the natural look and reduce collector interest. So what is the value of a 1943's steel penny in very fine condition with some scratches in today's market? Normally, a problem-free 1943S in very fine condition would be worth around 30 to 50 cents. In higher grades, such as extremely fine or about uncirculated values, can go up to $1 or $2. Uncirculated examples with full luster are often worth $3 to $10, and the very best certified coins with no spots, no scratches, and full brilliance can sell for $50 or more. On the other hand, circulated examples with damage, rust, or scratches are worth much less. A scratched 1943S in very fine condition might realistically bring around 10 to 20 cents. Since collectors generally prefer clean examples without issues, it's also worth mentioning that many steel cents suffer from rust or corrosion because of their metal composition. The zinc coating was intended to protect the steel core, but once the coating wore down, the steel underneath began to rust. For that reason, Finding a 1943 steel cent without corrosion is much harder than finding one with spots or surface damage. Scratches can expose the steel beneath the zinc, making it more vulnerable to rusting over time. That is why collectors value clean, bright examples so highly. The 1943 steel penny is also surrounded by myths and stories that have helped fuel its popularity. Some people confuse the common steel cent with the extremely rare 1943 copper cent, which was struck in error when a few copper planchettes from 1942 were left in the minting presses. Those rare copper pennies are worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition. However, the steel penny is the regular issue, and though it is interesting and collectible, it is far less valuable. Still, even a scratched example like the one we are talking about is a wonderful piece of history. It represents a time when every resource was focused on winning the war, and even something as small as a penny was changed to conserve materials. Millions of Americans who lived through the war remember seeing these shiny steel pennies in their change, and many kept them as keepsakes. Today, they are often passed down in families, discovered in old jars, or sold in coin shops as curiosities to sum everything up. The 1943 Lincoln Steel Penny is a historic coin with a unique place in U.S. coinage. Next up, the 1943 Lincoln Steel Wheat Penny, struck at the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. This coin is particularly interesting because of its unusual composition, as it was made from zinc-coated steel instead of copper, and it has become one of the most iconic coins of the World War II era. The example we are discussing today is in good condition with some scratches that affect its overall appearance, but it still carries important historical value and collectible interest. The story of the 1943 steel penny begins during the Second World War, when copper was in very high demand for the war effort. Copper was essential for making ammunition, shell casings, and other military supplies. In order to conserve copper, the United States Mint decided to change the composition of the 1-cent coin for the year 1943. Instead of the usual bronze alloy, they used steel coated with a thin layer of zinc. This gave the coin a silvery, shiny appearance when it was first minted, making it look more like a dime than a penny. Millions of Americans noticed this change immediately, and the steel penny quickly became one of the most talked about coins in circulation. The design of the steel penny remained the same as earlier Lincoln wheat cents. The obverse side shows the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, with the words, "In God We Trust" at the top, Liberty to the left, and the date 1943 to the right. Because this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, it does not carry a mint mark below the date. On the reverse, 2 wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum above. The only thing different about this coin compared to earlier wheat pennies was the metallic composition, which makes it unique in U.S. history. The Philadelphia Mint struck more steel pennies in 1943 than any other mint, producing over 1 billion examples. That makes the 1943 no mint mark steel cent the most common of the 3 types produced that year. With such a massive mintage, these coins are not rare, and they can still be found in large numbers today. However, finding coins in high grades without rust or scratches can be a challenge, because the zinc coating often wore away, leaving the steel core exposed to corrosion. The coin we are focusing on today is described as being in good condition, with some scratches. In coin grading, good is a lower circulated grade, meaning the coin has seen heavy use in circulation. On the obverse, Lincoln's portrait will be visible but worn, with details of the hair, cheek, and jawline mostly smooth. The inscriptions will be readable, but there will be noticeable wear across the entire design. On the reverse, the wheat stalks will appear flat, with little to no line detail left, and the legends will be worn, but still legible. Added to this, the scratches on the coin further reduce its eye appeal. Collectors generally prefer coins with smooth, natural wear rather than ones that have been damaged by scratches or gouges. Since damage is seen as a permanent flaw, when it comes to value, the 1943 steel penny without a mint mark is relatively inexpensive in lower circulated grades because so many were saved and remain available in good condition without problems. A 1943 Philadelphia steel cent is usually worth around 5 to 10 cents. In fine or very fine condition, it may bring 10 to 20 cents. Higher grade circulated examples in extremely fine or about uncirculated condition can be worth 25 to 50 cents, while uncirculated pieces with nice original luster often sell for $1 to $3. The highest grade certified examples, with no spots, scratches, or corrosion, can command much higher prices, sometimes reaching $20 to $50 or more for superb examples. For the specific coin we are describing here, the 1943 steel penny. From Philadelphia in good condition with scratches, the value will be on the lower end. Realistically, such a coin would be worth only about 5 cents in today's market. And sometimes dealers may not even buy damaged examples because they are so common. Still, even with scratches, it holds interest as a piece of history and an authentic artifact from the wartime era. One of the reasons these coins are so memorable is because of the stories and myths surrounding them. Many people mistakenly believe that all 1943 steel pennies are extremely valuable, when in reality, they are quite common. Next up, the 1943 Lincoln Steel Wheat Penny, this time with the D Mint mark from the Denver Mint. This coin is an important part of the story of World War II coinage in the United States, and it remains one of the most recognizable and widely collected coins even today. The particular coin we are talking about here is in dirty condition and shows some scratches, which affects both its appearance and its overall value in today's collector market. The year 1943 was unlike any other in U.S. coinage history. Because America was fully engaged in World War II, copper became one of the most critical metals for the war effort. It was needed to manufacture shell casings, ammunition, electrical wiring, and other essential military equipment. To conserve copper, the U.S. Mint made a dramatic change and produced the 1 cent coin from zinc-coated steel instead of the usual bronze alloy. These steel pennies stood out immediately because of their silvery appearance, which made them look more like dimes than pennies. The design of the 1943 steel penny, however, remained the same as other Lincoln wheat cents. The obverse features the well-known portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The words "In God We Trust" appear above Lincoln's head. Liberty is placed to the left, and the date 1943 appears to the right. Just below the date, you will find the small D Mint mark, which tells us that this particular coin was struck at the Denver Mint. On the reverse, 2 stylized wheat ears flank the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum at the top. The reverse design, known as the wheat ears reverse, had been in use since 1909 and would remain until 1958. In 1943, the Denver Mint struck over 217 million of these steel cents with the D Mint mark. That is a very large mintage, which means the 1943D steel penny is not considered rare. In fact, along with the Philadelphia and San Francisco issues, these coins were made in huge quantities and saved by the millions by both collectors and the general public who were fascinated by their unusual look. Because of that, they are still widely available on the coin market today. The coin we are discussing here is described as being in dirty condition with some scratches. A coin in dirty condition usually means it has accumulated dirt, discoloration, or perhaps surface grime from years of circulation or improper storage. The zinc coating on steel cents often dulled over time, and if the zinc wore away, the exposed steel would corrode, leaving dark spots or rust. Scratches further lower the visual appeal and grade of the coin. In coin collecting, damage such as scratches is seen as a permanent flaw that reduces both the desirability and value of the piece. If we think about how this coin would grade, it would likely fall into the lower circulated categories. In such grades, Lincoln's portrait is still visible but heavily worn. The lettering is legible but shows wear, and the wheat stalks on the reverse are flattened. The overall look would be far from pristine, especially with dirt and scratches added to the surface. When it comes to value, the 194-3D steel cent is quite modestly priced, especially in circulated and damaged conditions. In today's coin market, an example in good to very good condition might be worth around 5 to 10 cents. In fine or very fine grades, it could bring closer to 15 or 20 cents. Extremely fine pieces with sharper detail may be worth about 25 to 50 cents. Coins in about uncirculated condition can sell for $1 or $2. Uncirculated examples with original bright surfaces and no corrosion often bring between $3 and $5. Premium quality, fully lustrous, and certified mint state coins can fetch even higher prices, with superb examples sometimes worth $20 to $50 or more. For the specific coin we are looking at here, a 1943D steel wheat penny in dirty condition with scratches, the value is going to be on the lower end of the scale. Realistically, such a coin is worth about 5 cents in today's market. Maybe slightly more if a collector simply wants a filler coin for their set. Dealers often do not pay much attention to damaged examples because there are so many better ones available. Still, even in this condition, the coin is an authentic historical piece, and for many people, it holds value beyond just dollars. It is a tangible artifact from the wartime era. It is worth noting that while regular 1943 steel cents are common, there are some rare era varieties that are highly valuable. The most famous are the 1943 pennies that were mistakenly struck in bronze instead of steel. A handful of these copper 1943 cents were produced at each mint, and they are among the rarest and most valuable coins in American numismatics, with values that can soar into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. There are also double die varieties and other striking errors on steel cents that can carry premiums. But in general, the standard 1943D steel penny in circulated condition is not a rare coin. Even though the coin in this case has little monetary value due to its condition, it still tells a fascinating story. Next up in this video, we are going to talk about the 1935 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny struck at the Denver Mint, a coin that carries both historical interest and collector appeal, even when it shows wear and damage. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series is one of the most collected coin series in the United States, and every year and mint mark combination tells its own story. The 1935 D penny is no exception. Although it is not considered one of the rarest dates, it holds a special place in American numismatic history and continues to be a coin that many collectors seek out for their sets. The particular coin we are discussing today is in damaged condition and shows scratches, which will play a major role in determining its overall market value in today's coin market. Let us start with the design itself. The Lincoln Wheat Cent was first introduced in 1909 to mark the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it replaced the Indian head cent. On the obverse of the coin, we see the bust of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his head are the words, "In God We Trust." To the left of his portrait, we find the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date 1935. Beneath the date, on our coin, there is a small D mint mark, which identifies it as having been struck at the Denver Mint The reverse of the coin features two wheat stalks along the edges, which give the coin its nickname of wheat penny. Between the wheat stalks are the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, we see the Latin motto E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. This classic and simple design remained in use from 1909 until 1958. Now focusing on the year 1935, the United States was still in the midst of the Great Depression. Coin production levels varied during this time depending on economic activity and demand for coinage. At the Denver Mint in 1935, over 47 million wheat pennies were struck. That is a significant mintage, which means the 1935D penny is not a rare coin overall. Large numbers were produced and many were saved over the years, which is why they are still available to collectors today. However, the condition of a coin greatly affects how much it is worth, sometimes far more than the mintage numbers. The coin we are looking at is described as being in damaged condition with scratches. Damage can mean many things. It could be bending, corrosion, heavy contact marks, or environmental wear. Scratches, in particular, are considered a form of permanent damage. They can come from cleaning, mishandling, or rough circulation. Once a coin has visible scratches, especially deep ones, it is generally considered details grade by professional grading standards. This lowers its market value significantly when compared to a problem-free coin. In terms of grading, a 19 wheat penny in damaged condition would fall well below the collectible grades that collectors usually seek. A coin with scratches might still be identifiable and readable, but the damage makes it less attractive. Collectors usually prefer coins that are problem-free, even if they are worn. For example, a coin in good or very good condition with honest wear is often worth more than a coin in higher detail, but with scratches or other forms of damage. So what does this mean for the coin's value today? For a 1935D Lincoln Wheat sent in average circulated condition without damage, the typical value might range from around 20 cents to 50 cents, depending on the grade. Coins in fine to very fine condition could be worth closer to $1. Extra fine examples might bring $2 or $3. Uncirculated coins with original red luster can be worth anywhere from $10 up to $50 or more, depending on eye appeal and certification. Truly high-end pieces graded MS65 or better can be worth over $100. And rare full red examples in pristine condition can sell for even more at auction. But the coin we are talking about is damaged and scratched. That places its value well below. These ranges, a 1935D penny in damaged condition will often trade for its base copper value or just slightly above. In today's collector market, such a coin might realistically sell for about 5 to 10 cents. Dealers often consider damaged coins to be filler coins, meaning they are used to temporarily fill a hole in a collection until a better example can be found. For that reason, the value is usually minimal. It is important to point out that while the damaged condition lowers the value, the coin still has historical significance. It is nearly 90 years old and comes from a time when the United States was facing severe economic challenges. Each coin that survived through decades of circulation and handling has its own story. Some collectors even appreciate coins with heavy wear or damage, because they reflect real usage by ordinary Americans in their daily lives. There are also rare varieties and errors known for the 1935D penny, though they are not common. Collectors sometimes search for doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or other minting anomalies. These varieties can bring a premium when they are discovered, even on circulated coins. Unfortunately, when a coin is damaged, even errors and varieties can lose much of their potential value. Next up, the 1953 Abraham Lincoln Wheat penny that was minted at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d mint mark placed just beneath the date. This coin belongs to one of the most beloved and widely collected series in American coinage history, the Lincoln Wheat Cent, which ran from 1909 through 1958, while the 1953D penny is not one of the rarest coins in the series. It still carries great interest among collectors, especially when we consider its age, its minting background, and how condition plays such a large role in determining its value in today's market. The particular coin we are examining is described as being in fine condition, although it has some scratches that affect its appearance and, as a result, its overall market value, too. Start with the design. The obverse, or front, of the coin features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. It shows Lincoln facing to the right, with the words, "In God We Trust," at the top. Liberty to the left of his profile, and the date, 1953, to the right. Beneath the date is the small d, which stands for Denver, where this coin was struck. The reverse of the coin carries the familiar wheat ears design that gives the coin its nickname, wheat penny. Two stalks of wheat curve upward along the sides, framing the denomination 1 cent and United States of America. Above this is the motto E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one. Now let's look at the historical context. In 1953, the United States was coming out of the Korean War period and was entering a time of growing economic stability and prosperity. The Denver Mint was extremely active in producing coins to meet the demands of a growing post-war economy. In fact, over 700 million 1953D Lincoln cents were minted, a very large number compared to earlier decades. This high mintage means that the 1953D penny is relatively common today, especially in lower circulated grades. It is not a scarce or rare date overall, which is important to keep in mind when we think about value. But of course, rarity is only part of the equation. Condition is equally important. The coin we are discussing is in fine condition. In numismatic grading terms, fine indicates that while the coin has seen circulation and shows clear wear, the major design elements are still visible. On the obverse, Lincoln's head and facial features will be clear but worn. On the reverse, the wheat stalks will be visible, but lacking the finer lines of detail. While a coin in fine condition is considered mid-level for circulation, collectors usually prefer examples in higher grades, such as very fine, extra fine, or uncirculated. Adding to this, the coin has some scratches. Scratches are considered damage and can significantly impact the desirability and value of a coin. Even if the scratches are small, they lower the grade from a collector's perspective, because most collectors prefer coins with natural wear rather than damage. In other words, honest wear from circulation is acceptable, but post-mint damage, such as scratches or cleaning marks, tends to reduce value further. So what does this mean for market value in today's coin collecting world? Let's look at the ranges in 1953D penny in good to very good condition. Without damage is typically worth about 5 to 15 cents. Coins in fine condition may bring around 20 cents to 50 cents. Very fine and extra fine examples can be worth 75 cents to a couple of dollars. Uncirculated examples, especially those with original red mint luster, are worth significantly more, often $5 to $20 for average uncirculated and up to $50 or even higher for certified red gems graded Ms. -65 and above. Truly pristine red examples are sought after and can sell for even more at auction. For the coin we are talking about today, however, the scratches make a big difference. Instead of being valued like a normal, fine condition coin, it would most likely be priced at the lower end, closer to 5 to 10 cents, despite being finer than average in terms of detail. Essentially, the scratches make it more of a filler coin, one that collectors might use temporarily until they can replace it with a better specimen. It is worth mentioning that the 1953D penny does have some collectible interest because of varieties and errors. Collectors have documented double dies, repunched mint marks, and even off-center strikes for this year. These error coins can bring significantly higher prices, even in circulated condition, because they are much rarer than regular strikes. For example, a repunched mint mark variety could sell for several dollars. And major errors in higher grades can bring tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on their uniqueness. But when a coin is scratched or damaged, even errors lose much of their appeal. So condition is always key. One of the most important lessons for collectors is that while a coin may not be highly valuable in dollar terms, it can still hold historical and personal value. The 1953D penny is more than 70 years old now, circulated in the hands of Americans during the 1950s. A decade remembered for prosperity, family life, and post-war recovery. It is a tangible piece of that era. Even with scratches, this coin has survived decades of circulation, handling, and storage, making it a small but meaningful artifact of U.S. history. Collectors often start their numismatic journey with wheat pennies, since they are affordable and readily available. Coins like the 1953D make excellent teaching pieces, helping beginners learn about grading, mint marks, and the effect of condition on value. While this scratched example may not bring high prices, it serves as a reminder that every coin has a story, and sometimes the history is worth far more than the market price. To summarize, the 1953D Lincoln Wheat Penny had a very large mintage, making it common overall. In fine condition, a problem-free coin might sell for 20 to 50 cents. However, with scratches, the coin's market value drops to only about 5 to 10 cents in today's market. Higher-grade uncirculated examples can command much more, with pristine red gems worth dozens of dollars. Even so, this coin connects us to America's past and remains a collectible piece for those who appreciate the history and charm of Lincoln Wheat pennies.